how can we stand out from the crowd, right? How can we separate ourselves from the competition? And how can we raise our fees and actually get more referrals? Is it possible? Let's find out with trigger number 2, which is authority. Authority means standing out from the crowd. So in the first part of the video, we've learned that the most important thing at first is finding the key words that your customers are using when they think about your business or a product, not how you think at this point about the business or the product. And when you start using those hot words in terms of the customers, they start seeing you as an expert or as an authority. Now, why is authority important and how can you get it faster? People love to work with the best. We love driving best cars, we love eating best food, we like wearing best clothing because it feels better. If you have a medical procedure, would you prefer the best doctor in the industry perform? For example, I had a knee surgery and I was locked out. I mean, I had one of the best sports doctors doing the reconstruction and everything went perfectly. But I was so happy that I was able to land that guy because he was actually a substitute for the guy that was supposed to perform. But would you prefer the top expert or a student who's not sure in himself and goes, okay, Google, so this operation here. So we like to work with the top experts. So if you're not seen as an expert or an authority by your customers, you'll have a hard time getting paid, especially getting paid high fees because you're not an expert, so people will haggle with you, they will bargain with you. Or you have to chase them down for the money and they'll owe you money. You don't want to get into that situation. You want to position yourself as the authority from the beginning, and there's a way to do that. If you're an authority, people want to talk to you, they want your opinion, people call you for consultations, they want to speak with you at the industry events. You are the leader, okay? And everybody wants to work with the leader. And if you're not seen as authority, you will not be able to attract the people you want to work with, and you will not be able to create the results that you want in your business. So the question is, how do you become an authority with the stuff you already have? And it's easier than you think. So the dictionary term authority simply means the power or right to make decisions. That's it. Can you make decisions? You made the decision to come here and watch this video. If that's the case, then you already have authority. Authority in business simply means that you know more about a specific subject than most of the people. It means that you're an expert and you can tell people which decision they should make with your expertise, right? That means authority. But most people don't think they have the authority to call themselves that, or to start a business, or to write a book, or to write a blog post, or to publish something. They think that there should be some outside body that needs to give them that permission so they can be the authority. Or they need a diploma, or they need an MBA, or a doctorate, or a PhD, so they can go do something, for example. You get what I mean. For example, 83% of Americans think that there's a book in them, that 83% of people in America right now, they want to write a book. But you know how many people actually do? Less than 20%. Why? They don't think they have the entitlement to write a book. Oh, I'm not a doctor, or I'm not a TV personality, who am I? Who's going to read my stuff? Even though they have the knowledge to write a book, they don't think that they're allowed to do that. And in reality, it's all self-talk. It's all in our heads. Authority is a matter of perception. Many people assume that if something costs more, then it has to be good, right? It has to be better. If it's expensive, it has to be the best. Sometimes, for example, when you see 3 pricing options, for example, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, there's always a percentage of people, depending on the industry, that will buy the most expensive option. Why? Because it's the best, right? I mean, I only get the best, I only drive Mercedes, I only get the best car and wear the best clothes, so if I see something and it's the most expensive, then it's the best, okay? So that's the thing I'm buying. So first of all, the lesson here is that you have to test your prices in your business because you never know which price will perform better, but we'll cover that in another lesson about the pricing. For now, you've probably seen a lot of companies using and abusing sometimes this pricing approach. Can you justify a car for $1 million? can you justify a purse for $50,000? And people line up to get. Can you justify a t-shirt for $1,000? I can't, but some people can. And why do they do that? It's because they know they're getting the best stuff. In their mind, they're getting the top of the line, and they're working with experts. They're buying authority product, which gets them higher social status in their mind. And for them, it's not about money. For them, it's about getting that social status, and that's why I need to wear everything most expensive. Okay, so I get to feel better. And all the other friends I have, they'll see me, oh, okay, so we're on the same level. But most of us don't need that kind of authority in our business, and we just need the minimal effective dose, so we get seen as experts and people actually want to pay us for what we have. And a lot of people ask me, how can I raise prices without pushing customers away? And everybody has that, not everybody, but a lot of people have that fear, if I charge more, people are going to leave. And that's actually pretty much, in my experience, always not the case. When you charge more, you get respected more, and yes, you lose some customers, but maybe you didn't want those customers to begin with, and all of a sudden you get different customers. For example, there was a store I was consulting about five or 6 years ago, and they were afraid also to raise their pricing, and they're saying, oh, so we're losing some of our customers. All the regulars, I mean, a part of the regulars are not coming in. But all of a sudden, there was a group of people with fancier clothing, but they were ready to pay higher prices. But because the store now looked better, it was more polished up, we changed the name and the branding, and it looked as more expensive. Like if you look at ShopRite and Whole Foods, right? ShopRite the pricing is different. Whole Foods, there's always a line of people there. Why? I mean, it's like 3 times more expensive, but it's not hurting for business. Even once a week, but somebody sneaks there to buy a $20 bottle of Coke. So pricing is a matter of perception, and authority is the matter of perception. Now, how can you use this in your business? To make it simple, the best way to gain authority in your business right now is to explain the problem in more ways than your customer can. You have to show that you're an expert, and you have to say that you're an expert, okay? What is expert? Expert is simply someone who knows more than 80% than somebody else. Right? So if you go and read an in-depth book right now about web design, for example, or constructing light bulbs, you'll know more than the person next door. You may not be able to build one yet, but you are an expert in a way, right? And that's just one book. So, and most people go into the business because they're a lot better in something than the guy next door, and that's why they're going into the business. So when you become an expert, you command authority, and that's how you can get higher pricing. But most experts, they make the mistake of never saying that they're an expert in something, that they are the authority, and that's why buyers never figure it out, because who has the time to figure out things about somebody else. And if you have, again, a limited window of opportunity to deliver that boiling water fast, right, to deliver the critical mass in one window, if you get the right words, and if they see you as an expert and you explain the problem in more ways than they know, they assume you have the solution. Okay, but you have to come out and say that your expertise is what? If you don't name it, nobody's going to know. Authority is also boosted by things like displaying logos on your website of companies maybe you worked with, or displaying even those little stars and badges and medals and certificates that you have, or the BBB Bureau, or authorized.net. I mean, all the things that people know and that are trained for years to look at, they all signal trust. There was one study done with where they added by the checkout, where people are buying online by the buy button, they just added the Visa logos and the PayPal logos and all the credit card processing payments, right? Because those are the ones that process the payments in the back. But as soon as they did that, the sales went up 3%. 3%. Why? Because people are trained for years to recognize those logos, and they know, it signals trust immediately, and if they trust the logos, now they trust you a little more, and 3% boost in sales. Now, how much is 3% worth in your business? To some people, 3% just by adding logos could mean thousands of dollars just right there. Authority is also is boosted by wearing uniforms. If you see a doctor or if you see a police officer, a military uniform, you immediately react to them as the figure of authority. Again, Cialdini in his book was also addressing that fact too, that when we're in presence of somebody with more authority, we respond differently, we get triggered. And that's how you see television commercials, for example, with a guy wearing a lab coat, right? And some medicine is being advertised, and at the bottom it says, "Not a real doctor." But why do they do it? Because they know that if they put that coat on, sales will go up. Because doctors, oh, if a doctor said that, then it must be good. I was watching a fascinating documentary the other day on PBS, and I love PBS. They have sometimes the most insightful things, and it was called Digital Nation. In that documentary, they show IBM headquarters in upstate New York, and it's pretty much the whole building is empty because most of the employees are working virtually through Second Life. They have meetings sitting in their house and they're just seeing each other on the computer, so they never have to travel to the office, and that's the digital world we're living now. They have this huge campus built and 85% of it is empty. It's deserted, like no cars, parking lots empty, offices empty, but this one section is still operating, and guess what? It's the virtual reality department, right? It's the IT guys. So what do they do there? They simulated the video game, and they put two people in the game, basically scan their bodies, but what they did is they made one person 6 inches taller in the game, not in real life. And they had to have a negotiation between the two of them, right? They have to have like an argument. And what they saw is adding inches to that person's height actually made him feel more confident. And he won argument after argument after argument. And you can relate. Sometimes you see tall people, right? And tall people kind of command authority because by the time you look them in the eye, your head is already hitting your back. Do you know what I mean? Okay, that's why a lot of people buy shoes with high soles so they can be a little bit taller and get a little more authority and respect. Now, the one thing I didn't tell you about the study is the person who won the argument, right? Because he seemed now taller, and so he could look kind of the other person from above, right, down on him. He felt more confident. What the scientists said, what fascinating thing is when they stopped playing, the effect carried into his life. He actually remained more confident, and he said he went for it now more. And it just shows you the power of the mind and the perception and the little things that can change your life and your customer's life. So what does it mean in your business? Here are 3 things that you can do right now to boost authority in your business. Take out a piece of paper again and write down a few things. Now, I want you to write this down because if you do it in your head, it's not quite the same, because thinking something and seeing something with your eye is actually double effect because you're engaging 2 different parts of your body. If you're writing, looking, and reading it, it's triple effect. Sometimes you see teachers tell you also, okay, repeat it back to me. So they write it, they say it, you repeat it back, you write it down. The more parts of your brain you can engage, the more chances you have that you will remember that and you'll actually apply it. So take out a piece of paper and do that exercise if you care about getting more customers. So number 1 is, what is your specialty? Okay, how are you different from your competition? And there's always a way to separate yourself from the competition. I'll give you a few examples. For example, if you're a dentist, now, if you're going to a dentist, are you paying more money to a regular dentist or to a specialty dentist, like an orthodontist, right, who's performing maybe a surgery, right? They're a lot more expensive, and you're narrowing your field. You're not saying, oh, I'm a dentist for everyone and charging low fees. You're saying, no, I'm going to take maybe 20% of those customers, but they now line up because I'm the expert, and I get to charge double, triple sometimes. Now, what if you're already an orthodontist? You can say, hey, I'm a pediatric orthodontist. I'm working only with children, okay? I'm not working on everyone. I'm working only with children. Again, you're narrowing maybe to 10% as you think, but all of a sudden, more people come to you, and those doctors are a lot more expensive again. So you see how we're narrowing, and we're saying, okay, we don't want these customers, we don't want these customers. And you can say, oh, how can I say no to customers? But that's exactly the illogical effect, is the more you say, oh, I'm for everyone, nobody wants you, okay? But the more you specialty, the more people line up and the more fees you can charge. There's always a way to narrow your business focus. For example, if you're a yoga instructor, how can you narrow that? So how about yoga for moms, yoga for children, yoga recovery at home, right? You can find a way. I mean, you probably have some specialty in you that you went and something that pulls you into that business, but the more you're gonna select a niche to yourself, the higher authority you're going to get and the higher pricing you get to charge, as long as you educate your customer and you explain why you're different, what's your expertise. That's number 2. Explain the problem in more ways your customer knows. So again, if it's a yoga instructor and you're educating your trainees, you tell them this is the way to do the exercise, and that's, if you do it wrong, that's what can happen, and if you do it right, that's what you're looking out for. Okay, and then you coach them through the exercising, and then you answer some questions, and you give them some proof and some data and some testimonials and studies, and now they see, oh, I didn't even know that if I do this wrong, then I can get up in the morning, and if I do it right, I can run for 20-minute miles. And I've seen those little changes kind of create significant results. So you want to separate yourself and you want to explain why your method is different. You want to educate your customer. So right now, also write it down. What are the 3 things that your customer doesn't know but they should know? And once they hear them, they see you, okay, so first I learned something, right? Second, I see you're an expert. I feel smarter, I feel educated. Now, if I talk to my friends, I get to share this data. And even if I'm not ready to work with you right now, let's say the timing is off, or maybe I'm pushing it down the line. If somebody asks me, oh, can you refer me a yoga instructor? Who do you think I'm going to talk about? You guessed it. And number 3, add logos. See if there were companies that you worked with. Sometimes you have to call and ask if it's okay to use the logo. So do your legal work on your own, but I'm just telling you the mechanism that when people are looking at trusted signals, something that they are used to seeing, and maybe there are companies bigger than you, hopefully they're bigger than you, so you can pull some of their marketing power and you say, hey, I worked with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then now you're associated with them, so you immediately jump to their level, okay? So it's very important to see where are the points in your business, like what are the trust signals, the logos, if you have a book, for example, and it's on Amazon, put Amazon logo on your site, because Amazon is known to everyone. And if it's on your site now you're a little bit more trustworthy. So it's a combination of those things where you say the right words, where you educate your customer, where you say why you're the expert, right? Where you narrow the focus of your market and you present proven trust signals that creates an authority factor. So let's summarize this lesson. You already have authority. If you're in business, if you're an expert in your field, you already have it. You just need to say it out loud, okay? You need to tell people why you're an expert. Narrow your field of expertise so you get to charge higher fees and you can get more customers. Explain the problem in more light so you can make your customer feel smarter, so you can educate them, and so that you can get more referrals because they will remember that story. Come up with a good story about your business or some data point that you have, or a study or a survey or a testimonial from a customer, and when you tell them that the transformation that they went through from you, they will pass that story along and you'll get more business as a referral. Remember, people want to work with the best as long as you define the area where you're the best at. So far we've covered the trigger number 1, which is finding the key pain words that your customer is using and what are the pains that your product is solving for them, combining it with the authority factor, explaining why you're the expert to solve that problem, and presenting trust signals that will increase your conversions. So just combining those 2 things together, you are already 90% further down the road that I see 99.9% of businesses that I work with. You would be amazed that people get those 2 critical things wrong. But there's something else. So I want to congratulate you on going with me so far and sticking through the first 2 triggers. And if you want to learn how to get even more customers, In the next video, we're going to cover why most businesses losing customers that they could have had because they don't know about trigger number 3. What is that trigger? Come see the next video to find out. Thanks, talk to you soon.